Oklahoma for you.
It was a quiet Friday evening in central Oklahoma. People were finishing work, heading home, making plans for the weekend. And then the sky changed. Within the span of a single hour, a line of severe thunderstorms tore across the region with a ferocity that left entire neighborhoods looking like they had been through something far worse than a spring storm. Shattered windshields, roofs stripped open, streets buried under a carpet of ice in the middle of May. This is what happened on the evening of May 8, 2026, across central Oklahoma, and why meteorologists are warning that this was not a one-off event, but a sign of what this region can expect for the rest of the month. The setup for this storm had been visible in the atmospheric data for hours before a single drop of rain fell. The National Weather Service office in Norman, Oklahoma issued a severe thunderstorm watch shortly before 3 o'clock in the afternoon, alerting residents across central and southern Oklahoma that conditions were becoming increasingly favorable for powerful and dangerous storm development. A severe thunderstorm watch is not a casual advisory. It is a formal declaration that the atmosphere is loaded, that warm, unstable air, wind shear, and moisture have aligned in a way that makes organized and intense storm cells not just possible but likely. Residents in the watch area are expected to pay close attention, stay aware of conditions, and be ready to act quickly if warnings are issued. The watch was a signal. What followed confirmed every concern behind it. Within hours, that watch escalated into a rapid series of severe thunderstorm warnings across the affected area, with the city of Yukon placed directly in the path of one of the most aggressive squall lines the region had seen all spring. A squall line is a long, organized band of thunderstorms that moves together as a single system, and when one of these lines is firing on all cylinders, feeding on warm Gulf moisture, energized by wind shear, and racing across flat terrain, it can produce damage across an enormous swath of ground in a very short period of time. That is exactly what unfolded on the evening of May 8th. By early evening, the leading edge of the storm complex was bearing down on the area at around 70 km per hour. Forecasters described the threat level using language that is reserved specifically for storms capable of producing widespread structural damage, not isolated impacts, not minor incidents, but the kind of broad, systematic destruction that affects entire communities at once. Two specific hazards were identified as the primary drivers of damage: hail and wind. The hail produced by this storm system was substantial. Maximum hail sizes reached approximately 4.5 centimeters in diameter, large enough to shatter car windshields, puncture and dent roofing material, and strip leaves cleanly from trees. Hail damage at this size is not cosmetic. A single hailstone at that diameter hits with considerable force, and when thousands of them fall per square meter across a neighborhood in the space of a few minutes, the cumulative destruction adds up extraordinarily fast. Vehicles parked in driveways absorb dozens of direct impacts. Roofing systems that might look intact from the street are riddled with microfractures and impact craters that will leak at the first rain. Solar panels, skylights, and any exposed outdoor equipment are particularly vulnerable. North of Yukon, residents described the unmistakable sound of hail hammering rooftops, a sound that anyone who has heard it knows immediately and does not forget. Ice accumulated on driveways and lawns to depths that residents compared to a winter snowfall. Photographs from neighborhoods across the affected area showed grass turned white, swimming pools dotted with floating chunks of ice, and parked cars bearing the characteristic circular dents that mark every surface a hailstone strikes. South of the city, separate storm cores delivered similar impacts, with reports of hailstones bouncing off road surfaces and piling up in drifts along curbs and low points in the terrain. The images coming out of affected neighborhoods made it genuinely difficult to believe this was happening in May. The wind component of the storm was equally destructive. Gusts reached approximately 95 km per hour, fast enough to snap large tree limbs, send unsecured outdoor furniture airborne, and put serious stress on older or already compromised roofing systems. Trees across residential streets bent violently, and multiple large limbs were reported down, blocking roads and in some cases striking structures. Power infrastructure across portions of the broader Oklahoma City metropolitan area was disrupted as wind-driven debris and falling branches took down lines in scattered locations, with utility crews preparing for what they expected to be an extended overnight response across a wide geographic area. Emergency management officials issued shelter-in-place guidance covering a broad sweep of communities across the region. Residents were advised to move immediately to the lowest floor of their homes, away from windows and exterior walls, standard but critical guidance during a severe thunderstorm event of this magnitude. The lowest floor offers protection both from wind-driven debris that might breach windows and from the structural stress that severe gusts place on upper floors and roofing systems. What made this particular outbreak especially notable was not the intensity of any single hazard in isolation, but the sheer breadth of the zone it affected. This was not one storm hitting one town. The same line of cells produced large hail across multiple counties simultaneously, tracking from the Oklahoma City metro area through communities to the south and east, and into the broader metropolitan fringe. From the western suburbs through Norman, Moore, Midwest City, and the southern edge of Edmond, residents endured a coordinated assault of hail and wind that lasted close to an hour in some neighborhoods. That sustained duration across such a wide area places this event in a different category from a brief, localized storm. This was a regional outbreak, an organized, persistent storm system working its way methodically across populated terrain. The hardest hit areas are now beginning the long process of damage assessment and recovery. Roofing contractors, vehicle body shops, and insurance adjusters were already anticipating weeks of sustained work before the storm had even fully cleared the region. Damage assessment teams were preparing to move out across affected communities at first light on Saturday morning, beginning the slow and painstaking process of cataloging what was lost and what needs to be repaired. For many homeowners, the full extent of the damage, particularly to roofing, where hail impacts are not always visible from the ground, will only become clear over the coming days and weeks as inspections are completed. For the city of Yukon specifically, this storm represents another entry in a long record of severe weather events. Communities across the southern plains of the United States carry a relationship with violent weather that is unlike almost anywhere else on Earth. This is one of the most atmospherically volatile regions on the planet, a place where the flat terrain, the proximity to warm Gulf moisture from the south, and the collision of cold Arctic air from the north create conditions that generate severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, and extreme hail events with a frequency and intensity that is genuinely extraordinary by global standards. May 8th was not an anomaly for Yukon or for central Oklahoma. It was a reminder. Critically, meteorologists tracking the broader atmospheric pattern are not treating this outbreak as an isolated event. The conditions that produced it have not gone away. A slow-moving frontal boundary has been draped across the southern plains throughout May, acting as a persistent trigger line for storm development. Warm, moisture-rich air continues to push northward from the Gulf of Mexico, fueling instability day after day. That combination, a stationary trigger, a steady supply of Gulf moisture, and the volatile atmospheric profile of the southern plains in late spring, means that residents across Oklahoma and the surrounding region should expect this kind of activity to continue. The atmosphere over this part of the United States is primed, and forecasters are watching it closely. The cleanup from May 8 will take days. The insurance claims will take weeks. And for the families who stood at their windows watching ice the size of coins destroy the vehicles they rely on and the roofs over their heads, it will take longer still to feel like a quiet Friday evening is something they can take for granted again. We will continue to follow weather developments across the southern plains and bring you coverage as new events unfold. If you want to stay informed on natural events like this from around the world, subscribe to Nature Report. We cover these stories with accuracy and clarity so you always know exactly what is happening and why it matters.